Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The design review. Yes. Start again. Good afternoon. The Design Review Board public meeting of October 12th, 2017 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting. Please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones at this time. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and to submit it to staff. You will be asked to speak by the board when your case is called. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project in the event of a return for redesign must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent hearings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available on the city's website at www.glendaleca.gov. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board appeals is available from staff. Roll call. Board Member Artemanian.
Here.
Board Member Benlian is absent. Board Member Charchian.
Here.
Board Member Malikian.
Here.
And Board Member Simonian.
Present.
The report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on October 4th, 2017. Next item on the agenda is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. I have no oral communication cards.
Neither do I.
None have been submitted, which leads us to staff announcements. There are no staff announcements at this time, and we have two items on tonight's Design Review Board agenda, and I'd like to turn the meeting over to Chairman Alan Malikian.
Thank you. So I think we are ready to get started. Mr. Wardy?
Okay, our first case tonight is case number PDR 1705454, located at 352-358 West Milford Street. The applicant is, for the project summary, to demolish the existing residential buildings and construct a new 4-story apartment building with 32 rental units and 49 parking spaces located within a 1-level subterranean garage. The proposed work includes, as mentioned, 32 residential units, which are comprised of 16 one-bedroom units, 8 two-bedroom units, and 8 three-bedroom units. The applicant is proposing to provide a minimum of 54 square feet of private open space for each unit. Is it on or not? It's up. It just needs to be closer. Can you hear me now? Okay. It's too close. They're also proposing 9,440 square feet of common open area and a 955 square foot recreation room on the first floor. The existing property is located along the south side of West Milford Street between North Columbus Avenue and North Central Avenue. The project site consists of 3 basically flat rectangular lots totaling 23,625 square feet with residential uses. Currently, there are 2 multi-dwelling structures at 352 West Milford Street, which was built in 1911 and 1957, 2 multi-dwelling unit structures at 356 West Milford Street, which were built in 1910 and 1946, and a 1,400 square foot single dwelling unit at 358 West Milford Street, which was built in 1920. The site is zoned R1250, high-density residential. The majority of the block consists of high-density residential uses. Columbus Elementary School is about a 2-minute walk away, and downtown Glendale Central is about a 2-minute walk east of the site. This is the first time submittal for final review. There previously was a density bonus application, BP 1605456, which was granted on July 13, 2017. which allowed for 3 concessions, which were for floor area ratio, height, and common open space at the front. So they were allowed 1.6 floor area ratio, where a maximum of 1.2 is allowed, 4 stories, where 3 stories is allowed, and 470 square feet at the front, where 2,100 square feet was required. The project was exempt from CEQA as a Class 32 infill development. They are proposing 7,875 cubic yards of cut for the one-level subterranean parking garage and 260 cubic yards of fill. In terms of site planning, staff believes that the proposed site planning is appropriate, as the building will be consistent with the prevailing setbacks on the street. The shape of the building, which donut shape, is consistent with the shape of the lot and provides centrally located common outdoor space on the first floor that is easily accessible from all units. The new driveway provides access to the subterranean parking and is appropriately located. The landscaping is drought tolerant and complementary to the contemporary design. There's a new 6-foot high perimeter concrete masonry walls will be split base, which will match with the contemporary design. All equipment and trash is screened from view, and spouts are interior. However, vents are not depicted on the plan, so staff is recommending a condition calling for such ventilation ductwork to terminate at the roof unless it can be effectively incorporated into the design. In terms of massing and scale, the project is larger than other multifamily buildings on the block, but staff feels that it's true subterranean parking and successful articulation help it to be compatible. There are deep setbacks of some facade planes to provide significant articulation that helps reduce the sense of mass, and architectural strategies are used to express and break up the massing of the building. In terms of design and detailing, staff feels that it is appropriate. The contemporary project was designed with architectural elements to create visual interest. It is stylistically consistent on all 4 elevations, which reinforces the entire building design. And the proposed materials include a variety of finishes. Staff is recommending approval with condition. We did receive 2 letters in opposition, which you received copies of. We also received a previous letter, which was included in your staff report from the Historical Society. If you have questions about that, we can answer them. That's my presentation, if you have any other questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff? Please.
Were any of the SB 1818 parking incentives utilized?
They're providing, no, I mean, it meets the code for.
It meets the Glendale code on its own.
No, it does. It meets the density bonus requirements.
That's what I'm.
Sorry, that's what you meant.
So basically, every 1 bedroom gets 1 parking spot, and all the 2
Right.
bedrooms get 2 parking spots.
Right.
With no guest parking.
Correct.
So it's going under the SB 1818
Correct.
parking standards. Okay.
But they do have bicycle parking.
But they do have bicycle parking.
So I believe they're required 48 per that, and they're providing 49
Okay.
spaces.
And insofar as the regular common open space is concerned, you mentioned that one of the incentives is for common open area, but it seemed as though they were providing, if I understood correctly, 420 square feet in lieu of the required for the additional common open space that's required under a density bonus in the front. Is that what you were referring to? As a
Correct. It was for the common open space at the front that they were allowed the concession. Otherwise, they meet the zoning code requirements.
So as far as the regular common open space is concerned, they meet that on their own.
Correct. It's just at the street front back setback.
So where there was that formula they had to abide by, that equated to some 2,100 square feet.
Correct.
Additional common open space in addition to the regular, they're only doing 420.
In the front, yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I have no other questions.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a card? No worries. Just make sure that. Thank you. You state your name.
Good evening. For the record, I am Aram Alajajian of Alajajian Makusi Architects, the applicant in the post project. The address is 320 Arden, Suite 120, City of Glendale. What we have here is a project where basically it's driven by having an affordable housing in there, and also having the amenities that goes along with the affordable housing. If I may approach the board, basically,
Sure.
just very quickly want to run through
Sure.
this project. Thank you. As the project proceeds, it will basically cover, will replace 8 apartment units, 8 units that are currently on the property. So what we have a driveway coming in, and we have a subterranean parking where all the parking is situated. We have an elevator that is connecting with all the floors, and the staircases on both ends for the exiting purposes. Also, our utility rooms are located in the basement, as well as we have some storage areas and a bicycle storage areas that are located right next to the entry area here. So our entry is right from the street, approximately in the middle of the property. When you come in, you have an elevator lobby, which is secured by double doors on both sides. And what's interesting, we have a courtyard in the center of this, where we're proposing in the center to have a community room. So the community room, besides having all kinds of activities and small kitchenette area and the restrooms, outside we'll have some outdoor activities as well. We're going to have a fountain area right off the entry. We're going to have a children's play area next to the community room area. We have some benches situated on the east and west side of the community room, as well as, a little table and a seats of benches where, people could play chess or so. The second floor, typically this floor repeats, the number of units repeats itself by the second and the third and fourth floor. So we have our 2-bedroom units situated in the front, 3-bedroom situated in the front, 2 bedrooms are situated in the middle, and the 1 bedrooms are normally in the back. We do have a nice landscaping area running throughout the perimeter of the project, and with a walkway. And the walkway basically cut through, to the first floor and separating this block of the 1-bedroom units from the second and third floor. On the second floor, above the recreation room area, community room area, we're going to have a sort of a recreation deck, which is somehow connected with the bridges to the to our walkways, which serves to each unit. So each unit will have its amenities, full amenities, such as restrooms for every bedroom. And we have a full kitchen, living room, nice sized balconies. In some cases it's 6 feet, some cases it's more than 6 feet, like 8 feet balcony terraces that people could utilize on the sides. Basically, we kept the project very simple as far as the facades and the treatments are. They're different planes, basically terracing inwards to the project, and we have a variety of materials like cement, plaster, and a trespa, which is wood-like element with the glazing and aluminum frame windows. Materials are provided over there. And last grouping palette is basically here. So it's we're keeping it simple, contemporary. We also have provided the lighting diagram, which shows you the ambience of the lighting at the nighttime of the courtyard and the front yard of this facility. I want to keep it short, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
siding material?
Yeah.
On the material board? Is that horizontal siding? You mentioned cementitious product, but that seems to be natural wood.
We have selected this as a sample. Are we going with this or we're going with this one? Okay, so developer decided to go along with a more like a natural material rather than a Trespa product, which is imitation.
And the roof over the recreation room?
Yes.
Where
Yep.
that's right, where you're creating the outdoor terrace. There seems to be some landscaping.
Yes.
How, are those on pots or are they
Yes.
on planters? Or
They're on pots.
They're on pots.
They're on pots, so it will be easy to maintain. They're not, they're set somewhat permanently, but it's easier to take the pots out and then to replace them back if the plants would die or so forth.
And your parking structure, I realize it sits back from the street
Mhm.
property line. Insofar as the east, west, and the south, is it a 5-foot or 6-foot kind of setback between the perimeter property line and
The building?
and the parking structure?
Well, I believe parking structure goes all the way to the property line.
I see. So you're doing the shotcrete on
Right.
the east and west side. On the south side, on the
well,
rear,
east and west side and the south side also.
it's all shotcrete.
Yeah.
And so the mature trees that are placed on the deck, are those on planters or
They
is
will
the-
be built
is
up.
the deck dropped?
No, there will be built-up areas
Okay.
to accommodate the ground for the.
And how
trees.
deep are those?
I think they'll go anywhere 4 feet to close to 4 feet.
And your roof is a flat roof?
Right.
So, continuing on that, the mature trees inside the courtyard, those are in a sunken deck.
The
He
court,
was saying
yeah, the
ponds.
courtyard trees, yes.
Not the inside, because it's depressed.
We're talking about this, yeah, there would probably be another depressed area.
On the ground, on the podium level?
See, it says it's right there.
It's right here, we're depressing this section to allow the soil to.
And the
Natural
landscape
landscape.
architect feels comfortable, planting mature trees next to a
Correct.
4-story building with no height or anything.
Yeah.
So we should-
And also trimming and maintaining will help.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
One question.
yes.
Insofar as the depressed slab is concerned, now your question led me to a question. Where is that in outline on the parking plan? And how does your van
Here's the
access work?
building. Oh, van accessible. Right here, it just, it's the cross.
So are you able to provide the adequate height
Height
when you
clearance,
come
yeah,
in from
8'2".
the driveway all the way
Yes.
over with this
Yeah,
drop?
the depressed area would not affect to the parking, which we're maintaining about 8'2" over here. Clearance above that parking space.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more card. Don McPullen,
Oh, there's another one as well. There should be another one.
is there? Oh, yes, there is. I'm sorry.
Poland, Glendale resident. I have a question. A few things
Oh.
weren't clear to me when
I'm
you were
sorry.
talking. That is, they mentioned about bridges. What do you mean by
They're on?
bridges?
Yeah.
So, you're talking about when he mentioned bridges?
Yeah, you mentioned bridges.
So there's a bridge that they're proposing to go from the second floor deck inside the courtyard over to their community room that is within the center of the building itself.
So from the second floor over, there would be a bridge.
It will be from the walkways around the inside courtyard on the second floor, there'll be a bridge that will lead them to the top of the roof of the community room that is in the center.
Will it be across the courtyard?
It would be a portion of the courtyard, yes.
Well, that would be very ugly to me.
Well, that's their...
Anyway, 4 stories is too tall, incompatible with the neighborhood. 3-story maximum. There's even 1 story on that street. So it's just way too tall, number one. And I'd like to know the breakdown, I couldn't quite hear, the breakdown of the bedrooms. How many of 1, 2, and 3? How many 1s, how many 2s, how many 3?
There are 16 one-bedroom units.
15.
16 one-bedroom, 8 two-bedroom, and 8 three-bedroom.
And the low income, you're only getting 4 out of this 32 units. At least that's what was mentioned. That isn't very many. I don't know how many parking you're going to have for the low income. Are they going to be 2 bedrooms with 2 each, or what?
Per the density bonus requirements, so for a one-bedroom unit, they're required 1 on-site parking space, and for 2 and 3 bedroom units, they're required 2 parking spaces for those units.
But this will apply even to the four low income?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Because already some of the people living on Central Avenue in those new apartments are parking on the side streets because they have more vehicles than allocated parking spaces in the buildings. So there should be absolutely no variance as far as parking is concerned. And the architect's drawing is terrible. This is such a plain building. We've got too many ugly-looking buildings in Glendale like that. Now, a couple of blocks away on Salem is that the Veterans Building that was opened, about 2 years ago. That is a nice design. It's, I think, a little bit larger than this. But a rectangle box like this, absolutely terrible looking. No, a creative architect could come up with something attractive at minimal additional cost. And I'd like to know how close to the public sidewalk will be the building. Is it going to be,
It's actually at least 23 feet away.
pardon?
23 feet.
23 feet. And the other wasn't clear when the architect was talking about parking on the surface. I thought all the parking was going to be underground.
There are no surface parking.
Some of it is going to be on?
There are no surface parking.
Oh, there are no. All right. Well, that was unclear to me when he was talking. And it's still going to be, 32 units, I think it is.
I believe so, yes.
All right.
And your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Granger? Close, thank you. Greninger.
Welcome.
Little handicap has come eye operation this
No worries, take your time.
working on this. Do you have a handout? I think everyone has a
Yes.
handout.
The one with the
Just to
highlight?
show you where we are. That's the one. Right. Does that have a picture in the back, too? Okay. This is on page, if I can read it correctly, 15 of the entire handout for the entire thing. Our property, my wife and I own the property at 359 West Lexington Drive, which is immediately south of the southwest corner of this property. It's in yellow there. You see it?
Yes.
And on the back of this sheet is the picture of the property at the bottom. This is picture 27. This is the front of the property. We purchased about 5 years ago, and we've been spending lots of money refurbishing it. And we finished a bungalow, which is right at the back of this property. And we just rented it this month for the first time. And
Number 27 or number 29 has the bungalow?
number
Number 27, that's page 29, I think, number 30.
Or
if you look at the other handout that I gave you,
Okay.
it's this one in
yeah,
detail.
it's right here.
Okay. One.
Right. This one in detail shows you the outline of our property, where it is.
Yes.
Right down here. It's actually up there on the top graph up there. I took a the lower right-hand corner of that one up there. That's this one right here. So to give you an idea of how close we are to the property. And my first question is, what is the perimeter wall going to be? It's going to be a 6-foot-high cement block wall. Is that what it's going to be? Because right now there's a chain link fence between our property and the property behind us, which is about 5 feet away. And I'm just trying to visualize what this is going to look like.
That is what they're proposing, correct.
It's
a
a
6-foot-high CMU wall, a masonry wall.
Have they actually measured the distance? How far back? Have they done a survey of where that's actually going to be?
That's going to be right on their property line, within
okay.
their property.
There's a chain link fence there now. I'm not sure if that's the property line or.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
I'm
that's going to,
concerned
if
about.
it's in their property, most probably it'll come out and they'll replace it with their CMU wall.
That chain link fence will come
If
out.
it's there. If it's
Yeah, I
not, then
think
they
it's
will
there,
not,
so I'm not sure.
they cannot touch
Just
it.
there when we bought the property, so.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. And all the vegetation they have is going to be behind the wall, apparently, right?
That is correct.
That's behind the wall, okay? All right, so we don't have to worry about that until the wall is up. When is the construction going to begin on this, do you know? Start of the construction?
That is a question for the architect.
I thought there's something in the plan said like October next year. I'm not sure, October 18th to November 19th. Is that?
So we will, excuse me, sir, you need to speak to us. So if you have questions, because the mic is recording what you're saying.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the timing, the only thing that we can tell you is that if this project gets approved, I believe they have 2 years to pull their permit, and within this period, and if they don't pull the permit within the 2 years, the design review, if it gets approved today, will expire. So that's the only thing that we can tell you, and it will be up to them when they would start. So you can ask them after.
Okay, I would like to be notified as a property owner right adjacent to it when this would take place, so I could tell my tenants, because it's going to be.
I am sure they're noting the request, so.
Okay, that's good. Also, I can give them my name and address.
Absolutely, you can do that after.
Because I'm also concerned with item 3, that the noise and the dust is going to be generated from this.
Right.
This is just a brand-new unit, and this is going to be considerable excavation, and it's going to be some noise. I hope no pile driving. They said probably not, but I hope that's the case. Okay, and so those are my concerns there. So I'll be notified with that. Okay.
So if you can finish your questions, because your time is up, so we can go
Time
ahead.
is up already.
It's been up for a while, so you can go ahead and
Timer went
continue. Just go ahead and
Can I
finish.
just- Okay, I just want to, all right.
Yeah.
Those, the main points. One thing, I also feel the height is not compatible with the area. I checked the pictures that were presented. I looked on the Google of all the heights, and there are only 3 buildings in that whole 30 units that may be that height above.
I will let staff address the height, because it would be outside our purview. That has been approved by the density
Okay.
approval, the density bonus that they requested, so it would be outside of our purview to reduce
That's
the
already
height
been
or change. That has
settled.
been already been settled, so I will let staff comment on that. There was
Okay.
a second question that came up in regards to
That was the other gentleman said that too. It
Yes.
looks like they made a point of saying it's compatible with the area, but I don't think it is. Okay. And the other point is that they look like they're trying to gain as much density if they can. They're trying to do everything to push as much housing into the area. Of course, it's better.
That is the incentive they're getting to provide an affordable housing within.
Yeah, I know it's
Right.
required.
So
to get
that is
35%
outside of
more.
our purview. It's
I think
given,
that's-
the rights are given by the state,
State
What it does is give them another elevation.
including the height.
Okay. And to that point, one more point before I get to the end.
And it'll be the last.
The last one, okay. Too bad. I'm the
Yes.
only one here.
I'm sorry, we can't stay all night here.
No,
So,
she's my wife, that's you.
yes.
Okay, the other one is that there are 6 balconies overlooking the back of us. There'll be 3 back, 3 at the side, and maybe 3 more.
Okay.
And the privacy issue is a concern.
Okay.
Those are the points.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Lighting is okay, I guess.
Mr. Al-Jajan, would you like to?
Okay, just to, I'm going to start with try to address some of the issues that last speaker brought up. It's first of all, if you look at the survey map, what currently exists in there, the current structures stand anywhere 3 feet to 5 feet closer to the property line of the that would be southerly neighbor. And the structures on the south properties, which owned by the gentleman, it is actually encroaching the required setback if we look at it today. So what we are providing here, we're providing like minimum of 13 feet setback, 13 and a half feet setback, where the average is 8 feet is required. From minimum 8 is required. We're providing 13 anywhere closer to the balcony areas. We're pushing it back another 4 feet, so that's 17 feet in total. That's quite a bit of a setback. In as far as the privacy is concerned, we're also proposing from the boundary line wall, which you mentioned, this masonry wall, we're planting a minimum of 3 feet up to 5 feet of an area adjacent to that wall, so the landscaping will mature and grow up and will create that privacy between the two properties. So those two measures, I think it's greatly going to help the project, and the forms are indented. It's not like you're looking at the blank wall. It is, if you look at the site plan or any plans, you can see that the playfulness of the balconies and the exterior walls are creating that niches that very articulate as far as the facade is concerned. So I think that this project fits that environment. We are in a transitional zone. We just 2 minutes away, we have commercial projects which are pretty much high-rise buildings, you know. And the only comparison that I can make would be the 3-story buildings, just, you know, a property across, which the pitches, you know, probably very comparable to the 4-story here. That's why we're making a level flat roofing here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the south side, where we have the block wall that
Mhm.
we were just describing, at that point, how much does the podium pop up above the curb elevation, let's say?
Well, normally the top of deck is about 18 inches above the, you know, natural grade. So from that point on, you know, we are from the adjacent grade, we're allowed to go up 6 foot as a privacy wall.
Okay.
So that would be the height of the privacy wall from the adjacent grade
Understood.
to be 6 feet.
And is this a split face block, or is this a regular block because of the fact that there is this bungalow just next to you?
Well,
That's
I
why
mean,
I'm
if we look at it, we have a little bit of a, it angles out in order to make that property clear square. So we just have a few inches there, but we are intended to do a split face block, decorative block, in case, you know, the next door neighbor will allow us to do stucco over it. You know, that would be something else. It would be a requirement. We can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But also to address one of the concerns that the gentleman had, yes, there would be a construction control. We will have a telephone hotline exposed on the fence. So if any concerns any of the neighbors have, they can immediately call the number. And everything would be managed properly as any construction being managed by the state or city regulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have one
Yes.
more
Oh,
question.
we
Mr.
do have-
Al-Jajan, I'm so sorry. I have a quick question, just to get on the record. I noticed that there is a historical report as to one property, but there are 2 other properties here that were pre-1920, I believe. Is there a reason why there's no historical reports on those other 2 properties?
I'm going to ask staff to basically address that if it's possible, because they're more closely.
Well,
involved.
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Were you asked to prepare historical reports on the other
Yes.
properties?
We had a consultant who prepared the historical report, as well as I think the cities have some expertise on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would like to have Mr. Bott to answer that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Al-Jajan.
the 2 properties you're asking about, 358 is the property that did have the historical
Yes.
report. There was no historical report requested or needed for the other two because they've been so dramatically altered over the years that they've lost their ability to convey their significance, which is the threshold for what could be considered a historic resource under CEQA.
Okay, so for the record, that I just want to get that out there. And then the city staff feels so that the report prepared for 358 is sufficient for the recommendation made by the city?
We kind of analyzed this in some depth in the staff report. There have been two surveys of this property, one in 2007, which was part of our Craftsman survey that found it to not be a historic resource. And there's a current survey, which is considered preliminary right now. The findings haven't been finalized. But the consultant believes that the property is not a historic resource, and I and staff agree with that. Then there was another consultant hired by the applicant who did a report also finding it not to be a historic resource. The letter from the Historical Society was generated, I believe, and I don't see anyone here to address that, but I believe it was generated because there was an error on the report, on a preliminary version, like the first draft that went out of the current survey, that said that this gave it a status code indicating that it was historic. But that was an error. We analyzed it, did some more research, and the consultant now thinks it's not a resource.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will close the public hearing. Mr. Georgian, would you like to start?
Sure. These projects are always challenging from a community perspective because the state of California has a incentive in place to allow for certain variations to the design of a building, the allowable height or the number of parking spots. There are certain ones that the applicant can choose, and in the flip side, they get affordable housing units, which Glendale and the state of California desperately need. So I wanted to state that because there were comments addressing those issues, which is the height and the number of parking spots. But we can't talk about those things because those are state-mandated issues. So from a design perspective, I think that the project is very well designed. It's refreshing to see a community space that's used both at a internal level and an external level. I think that the overall package that's being presented, including a very comprehensive lighting plan, is also very refreshing to see how the lighting from this pretty large building will affect neighbors. And there's been a lot of thought that's been put into this project. Overall, I'm in support of the project. I would make it a condition, I didn't see if this was, to have either split face or maybe stucco on the exterior wall that's being proposed for privacy and security purposes for the project, so that the neighbors are less impacted from their visual standpoint. And then that's about it. Everything else adds out.
All right, thank you. Ms. Orzuander?
I don't have any additional comments.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
I support the project as well, and we do appreciate the public coming out and speaking regarding height, parking, etc. And just to echo it as well, it's as the SB 1818 state law that was put into place, it provides such bonuses that the developer has taken into account as far as the density is concerned, and in lieu of, they get some incentives, heights, FAR, parking, and those are typically items that, let's say, we would talk about on this board, but in this case you cannot because of the situation and the way it was granted. So then we look at the overall mass and scale as presented, and because of the abundance of setbacks that they've provided from the adjacent properties, it is sitting back and it's providing nice buffer insofar as light and air is concerned into the adjacent properties. We did bring up some points, and we do appreciate you coming out and bringing to our attention the existing bungalow, and we do think it's a good idea of a split face or a stucco on the south side to really help mask it. And I would say whatever decorative is provided, you kind of go and try to cover that portion of the deck too that's popping out. So in a way, those backyards of the adjacent properties have a more pleasant facade to look at. And if you grant them the access to come in and do the stucco, which is going to be a benefit to you, they would have to access your property to stucco that wall. But in essence, you're getting a better wall on a long-term basis. And if the developers want to do that, I strongly suggest you work with one another and provide them that access. I'd like to also comment on the common open space that you've created. It's quite nice because you're able to really create two open space requirements. You fulfilled it twice almost. You know, you have this exterior kitchen and whatnot that's covered, that's going to be very usable, and then on top of that you have a second one, and it's more of the open one, so open air open space. So that is creative in itself, I should say. So I do think that's a very smart decision. And overall, you have abundance of front setback as well. It was granted as a concession, but you've done a good job integrating it as well. So I support the project.
Thank you. I as well. I've been going through the packet. I've looked at the packet when we received it. I'm yet to find something to comment on. I think it's very nicely done, and I think it's a design that we would like to see more of. When you develop projects like this scale, the tendency is to forget the architecture and start dealing with a lot of the costs that are involved with the development. So it's refreshing to see nice materials, nice detailing, nice articulations of the elevations and the plans. After all, it's going to be a community, a space for people to gather, and there's going to be 30 plus units, and a lot of people are going to be residing in this building. So I also agree, and I do support the project. So if we can get a motion, I don't think we have any conditions. I think there are the two conditions that staff has already made.
If you could allow staff to read those back, we feel it's important to just get
And
it
I
out
believe
in the public record.
Mr. Charchian.
And I added a condition
Regarding the wall.
Right.
That's now in the record. Okay, we'll add that. So two related conditions. One is that split face block or stucco will be used on the outboard face of the perimeter walls. Along with that, any raised area of the podium facing the neighbors will be finished either with stucco or in a way to give it kind of a finished appearance that works with the block above. And then finally, the material for the panels will be changed from Trespa to a natural wood. Plus, there are two staff conditions about the ductwork, the ventilation ductwork, and the cut sheet. Oh, actually, we've already addressed the wood issue because we're asking for a cut sheet for proposed horizontal cladding material. So now we'll just change that to the natural wood.
I move to approve the project with the stated conditions.
I'll second.
Roll call, we have Board Member Arzumanian,
Yes.
Charchian,
Yes.
Simonian,
Yes.
and Malikian.
Yes.
The motion carries, passes, approved with conditions 4-0.
And I'm sorry, Board Member Charchi made the motion, and who made the second?
No, Simonian made the motion.
Oh.
And I seconded.
Second, thank you.
Right.
Noted that.
Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
One.
Very good. Done.
So, okay. Board, Chairman Maliki and board members, the next item before you is case number PDR 1713531. The project address is 3917 Elado Drive. Property is an approximately 8,500 square foot, somewhat rectangular lot. It's on the north side of Elado Drive in the R1R Floor Area District 2 zone. The rear property line abuts the Verdugo Wash Channel, and Crescenta Valley Park is approximately 200 feet to the west. Or I'm sorry, 200 feet to the east along Elado Drive. The site was originally developed in 1959 with an existing one-story, 1,691 square foot house, which still stands today, and a detached two-car garage. The project involves an extensive remodel of and second floor addition to the existing house to the point that the project is considered new construction. This new house will be 2 stories and 3,420 square feet, and the existing detached two-car garage is to remain. So with that, I'd like to come up to the board, and you'll notice that the existing one-story house is on the screen before you. Allow me to come up to the board. Okay. The staff report was broken into 3 sections, the first being site planning. The existing is a one-story home that took up 1,600 square feet. The home, again, it will be expanded and remodeled, and the new building footprint is essentially in the same area as the existing. The new construction will be 25 feet back from the street front property line, which in the R1R zone, you're allowed to go up to a minimum of 15 feet. So it is still set further back than that is typical than in the R1R zone, but it's also, if you'll notice here, that it is in line with the adjacent 2 residences. So it still provides an ample street front setback. Because this is considered new construction in the R1R zone, the existing building wall on the west is being pulled back. So right now it is less than 10 feet. For the new project, it will be 10 feet. So you'll have a 10-foot setback on one side, and you'll have the existing driveway that is to remain on the other side. Access obviously is provided to the detached garage at the rear via the driveway. The existing driveway is concrete, and they're proposing score lines. Per code, because it's a new construction, they would need to provide a decorative driveway, so there is a recommended condition that the driveway perhaps be, at least the portion in the front, be somewhat modified, whether it's by pavers or bricks or whatnot, to be a little bit more decorative, and that is a recommended condition of approval. So other than the building footprint, the driveway, and the garage, the rest of it is landscaped, and it complies with a minimum of 40% landscaping. In terms of mass and scale, the one-story house obviously is going to result in a 2-story development. The majority of the homes in the area are one-story ranch homes. This will be one of the largest homes in the neighborhood survey area. However, the architect and designer really made their utmost attempt at modifying the appearance of the 2-story home so that you have a very steeply pitched upper floor. You'll have dormers, and with the way that the design is and such, it resembles a 1.5-story type construction from the street. the majority of the massing is actually at the rear, where there's less of a sloped roof, more massing, but that massing is facing the Verdugo channel, so you're not going to have much impact. Furthermore, the second story, the two side elevations that would be facing the residential neighbors on the east and west, either have one has a bathroom window and the other one has a secondary bedroom window. So you don't have any impacts in terms of balconies or bedroom windows or family room windows that would be facing the adjacent properties. So again, because of the massing, the design, and the no impact to the privacy issues, staff is still supporting this two-story construction. Last but not least, the design and detailing. You'll notice that the project appears somewhat of a more contemporary combination of a Tudor revival and a Cape Cod. So you'll have the board and batten ended siding at the front, underneath the front gable. You'll have the very steeply pitched roof on the second floor. You'll have siding as well as columns at the front, and this little porch addition as well. This mixture also should note that stone cladding along one portion, and you actually have faux chimneys on either side. So overall, the design and detailing is consistent around all four elevations, and because of the sort of much more along the lines of the traditional detailing of the Cape Cod / English revival, it fits better within the other traditional ranch style homes in the surrounding neighborhood. Just to note that staff is recommending approval of this project with two conditions. One would be to modify the existing driveway as noted to be a little bit more decorative, and two, to specify higher quality windows. Right now they are proposing vinyl windows, and it's up to the board to decide how they feel about the quality of the windows, but that is just a recommended condition. I should note also that one letter was received, an email that is, from an adjacent property owner, Mr. James Frazier, who lives on the corner of Villado and Forest Glen, so just a few homes over. And he really praised the design and the detailing. He mentioned that the property owners and the architect made they contacted the neighbors. They were very engaged. They showed them the design and spoke with them, answering any questions you have. So I believe that there has been a significant amount of neighborhood outreach that was done by the property owner and the architect in regards to making sure that all the neighborhood concerns were addressed. So this neighbor was definitely in support of the project. I had no other emails or phone calls from any of the neighbors, and that concludes my staff report. Yes.
So this being considered as a new construction, how does that impact the existing garage?
Well, at this point,
You have a 3-foot setback in the back. You have,
there is no setback for detached garages.
in an R1R.
Correct.
And the interior setback, interior dimensions, they do not need to meet the 20-foot and.
In this case, I believe that, except for I did notice that the garage door might have to be enlarged slightly to meet the 16-foot wide door, but no, it complies with code.
So even though it's a brand new, considered as a brand new, it's not a 20 by 20 minimum requirement for a new construction. It would be considered as a 16 by 18. Yes?
Probably, yes. I will verify that.
Okay. Because if that's the case, then, they would need to
enlarge it.
enlarge that, correct. Okay.
Is there material?
Yes, material board is actually.
I guess if they had to enlarge it, would you shift the house forward to meet the radius?
I don't think you'd need to shift the house forward simply because, let me go back to
Because
the
there's zero
microphone.
setback.
Because the detached garage has a 0-foot setback.
So they could just push it back?
Correct.
Understood.
And you also have the neighborhood survey.
Thank you.
Yes.
Could we get on the screen I think it's Honolulu, correct? That's the street right behind this.
Would you like the aerial image then on the screen?
Yeah. Can we get that? Can we get the street view from Honolulu?
Okay. So as you'll notice here, the house is denoted by the red red exclamation point, El Lado Drive to the south, the Verdugo Channel to the north, and Honolulu. So you'd like to see the street image
yeah,
then?
drop the, if we could drop the little guy on the Honolulu, just kind of.
And you really can't see. So, whoop. So essentially, this is what you would see.
And I see glare right now. That's what I
Right.
see. Okay, that's okay. The TV has a. So there's an existing, what looks like 6-foot fence on the back side. I didn't, for some reason, I didn't think to drive on this side.
You'd assume you'd probably see a two-story.
Yeah.
You would
You'd see
probably-
some part of it.
You'd see some part of it. However, staff felt because you have the Verdugo Channel and
Yeah, there's
would-
plenty of distance. It's just, I didn't think to drive on this side. And so I just wanted to, before formulating my opinion. Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to go back to the aerial image then?
Actually, I'd like you to go up the street.
Up the street in terms of on Honolulu
Yeah.
or on El Lado?
Just one, yeah, just up the street on Honolulu and then back to the property. I think you'll see some roof line, maybe the upper windows. But I think that given that it's kind of
Driving down.
driving down, yeah, then you can already see some of the roof lines. So it's not just a greenscape. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Thank you.
That's a better angle. You see something. Okay.
Okay. Philip Chen?
Hi, good evening, members of the Design Review Board and city staff. My name is Philip Chan. I'm the designer of the property. We have actually been working on this project with the owner for more than a year. Yes, more than a year. During this period of time, there are many alterations to the floor plan, and also from staff's comment, we submitted some of the plans. Previous design didn't look anything like this. So we have been working back and forth with staff, and also the owner themselves did a community outreach. And with some of the comments we received, based on the comments, we made adjustment to the plans. This project in the beginning, it wasn't a new construction. We started this project with an addition. But if you have experience working with clients, building the dream home, they make changes all the time, which is pretty normal. And also, when we were designing this project, they also have a budget in mind. So part of the question regarding the garage is really to save the budget. They have been living on this property, backing in and out of the driveway every day, so they don't have any issues with the way how the garage is. So instead of tearing it down and rebuild it, they rather spend the money somewhere else. So that was the intention of leaving it. Certainly, if we were to demolish it and build a new two-car garage, it would fit in terms of setback, and we have enough turnaround radius and we have enough room. For when we, and our design team, when we were doing the design, we also pay close attention to the massing. So we look at the design of the building. This is the reason why we came up with a one slope roof with a dormer with a window on the right-hand side. So when you pass by it, it really looks like a 1.5 story. So that was our intention, our goal, to make the house compatible with the neighborhood. Cliff and Cynthia, they've been living here for a long time, and they have always been a part of the Glenwood Oaks community, and didn't want us to design something that doesn't fit in well. So tonight, we wish to have your approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. To make a side note, we took a look at the staff report, and we have no issues with staff's recommendation. So tonight, we hope to get your approval to get this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for? Any questions? No. Thank you.
May I?
Yes. Can I close the? No. Anyone else would like to speak? We don't have any more cards. No. Okay.
Chairman Malikian, just in regards to the garage question and the dimensions, it appears on sheet A2, and I guess that's where the confusion lies. We were given the dimensions that it would be 21 feet, 8 inches in length and by 22 feet in width, and so that would have complied with the required garage dimensions. So if there is a discrepancy on one of the other site plans between the two, staff will look into that, and so staff was moving forward with the fact that the garage actually met today's code. Okay. So if there is a discrepancy and it does not meet today's minimum standards of 20 by 20 with a 16-foot garage door, then we would have to address that as new construction, and they can either enlarge their existing garage, possibly.
Well, it seems like they're modifying their garage. I mean, the way that I see it in the plans, because they have an existing garage plan elevation, and what they're proposing is, the garage door is changing, and they have a little bit. You can kind of see it.
And that was corrected as well, I believe.
You can see it on the existing garage. There's hardly any sidewall.
Correct.
It's a new garage. There's some sidewall, and the doors are changed, so there is some modifications.
Actually, the image that you see on top, A3, was the previous elevation drawings, and so that was incorrect. The garage was remeasured, and it was brought to our attention that the garage wall on the far east is much narrower.
So the package that we have is not correct?
No, so the package, you have a colored elevation, and then there should be another elevation drawing. That elevation for the garage is not correct. The residence actually, those elevation drawings, the colored ones, are correct. But the garage was modified, and that was resubmitted by the applicant.
Got it. Okay.
I've added a potential condition for staff verification.
Yes.
And an adjustment if
That's
needed.
an easy enough thing.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have a problem. Okay. Thank you. Simone?
Overall, I appreciate the intricacy of the design, especially the use of multiple kind of materials and the way the details are integrated into one another. The columns, the horizontal siding with the shingle, with kind of the details on the attic spaces and the shutter doors, etc., and the dormers. I could tell a lot of thought has gone into working out the finer details of the design. I think that's very positive. As far as the garage is concerned, we've all touched on it, so I think staff will take care of that. There are just a couple of items that come up which I think could easily be worked out during the back and forth between applicant and staff. One was really this area over here with the way this roof just kind of ends so abruptly. There's just so much more articulation with all the other roofs, and then all of a sudden what we have occurring in this area is certainly odd, and I think that could benefit from a bit of redesign of maybe the way the roof is. And in general, I really like the facade, but if there was a bit more symmetry or orientation of these windows lining up, I think it would benefit. But overall, the use of the materials and articulation of the entryway and the other details that we've described, I think, work out fine. And the rear facade, I don't really have an issue with at all. I would just concentrate on this area and maybe perhaps some of shifting of the windows to align them. But overall, I support the project.
It's amazing. I had those two items that I wanted to talk to me. So at least I will give some ideas how to solve them. So.
Well, thank you, Sharon. I wanted to commend the architect and staff for coming up with this exterior facade that truly addressed my biggest concern, which was this is a predominantly single-story neighborhood, and we had this very large two-story project going into this space. And normally I would have not been in support of this project if it looked anything like I think that's the north facade, right? Get my facades right? Yes. But the south facade that faces the street has been dealt with in a very interesting way, which really hides the second story effectively enough that it addresses the mass. So I am in support of the project, and seeing no concern from the community, I don't think it's necessary to go into some of the other things that we would normally touch upon. Okay.
I'm generally in support of the project, and I think it's an interesting design.
Thank you. So as Mrs. Simonian mentioned, I think the two areas that I had kind of looked at that I thought that it will benefit from some improvement were the two points that he indicated. It's kind of interesting to have a design that has so many different slopes of roof and how they came together. So I think I commend you for that, and I think it worked out really well the way it's designed. It seems like it's a marriage of two different styles of buildings from front to back and how they merged into each other. And we need to commend you for that. And the suggestions that I have that I think may help, and I'm not saying that's the direction. Do you want to take this? So the dormer here, and I think the symmetry is really important because the way it's set, and you have these two windows that are set in between the columns, and this on its own, it stands, it has a lot of important details that are intertwined, and it's connecting to each other. So I think over here, one way to solve this, and I don't know if you are limited to the square footage or not, or how it can be done, is to possibly even extend this, and maybe that either moving this in the center, which your plan may not govern for that, but you may want to consider somehow shifting these and then creating more of a symmetry or symmetrical within this area there. So it's kind of set in an odd place. So that's I would probably have you look into that. This corner right here, I mean, this is the perfect view, but almost, this is the only time we're going to be able to see this in the design review and looking at an elevation and a rendering. But in the real world, you're probably going to see more of these angles that you have, and this is going to be probably a section there that everybody's going to kind of question, and I think it's going to be a problem. One way to solve this, I think, is to get rid of the chimney and allow the roof in the back, which is the
It's a roof at the bottom, middle image, all the way down.
Actually, the roof at the.
well, I
This
want to show.
elevation.
Well, yeah, but so.
Or this one.
So if you can imagine that this roof right here, right? So that's the roof there. So if you can see the profile of that roof along the back, so that you have the continuation of this roof coming from this point down, possibly kind of emphasizing what is happening there. Maybe that may solve that. It may be a better solution than that. You may want to introduce a window
I don't know, or something that is facing. So yeah, I like this, to be honest with you. I really like this, the way it's set, but this to me is not a solved situation.
Can I ask if we remove the chimney and took the right-hand slope of the roof and then brought that same pitch down on the left side and then let it die in where the eave line of that is, and then we would see that rear gable die into
Yeah.
the...
Yeah, absolutely.
coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah. So, I mean, there's many different options there, but I think we definitely put our finger on the area that I think needs some improvement. So,
And also the garage, so I think that needs to be resolved too. And anything else? Mr. Charging, you haven't been asking for the trash areas. It's like you used to ask for that.
Well, the trash areas in the first project were very well done.
Yeah,
In
and
this
you forgot
project,
about that.
But we're
This
so well
project-
disciplined now that we
Yes,
talk to
so-
the applicants about
So
that.
we're going to assume that we do have the proper trash location
Yes.
as indicated as shown on the plan. So, but other than that, I think we're good. So,
You actually caught that. I don't think it is on the plan. I assume they were going to stick it into next to the garage.
yeah. Can we get a motion for that, please?
So I move to approve the project with the 2 staff conditions plus new condition to rework the side roof as described and also work with applicant on the front dormer to create more of a symmetric look in the front.
And the garage, you said.
And the garage would be a separate condition that it's per code.
I second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion made by Board Member Simonian, seconded by Board Member Arzumanian. Give a roll call. Board Member Charchian?
Yes.
Board Member Arzumanian? Yes. Board Member Simonian?
Yes.
And Chairman Malikian?
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0. There are no...
Congratulations.
Pardon? All right, there are no other items on tonight's agenda. The minutes will be forward, well, you'll be sent the motion, and I believe there's a motion to be
Motion to adjourn at a record 6:19 p.m.
at a record 6:19. All in favor?
Done.